Drink it in, man.
Cornbread! Cornbread! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Cornbread! Cornbread! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Drink it in, man. Drink it in, man.
Jewelry can say many things on your wedding day. As a wedding band, it can say, "This is a forever symbol of our forever love." As a gift to your wedding party, it can say, "Thanks for standing up there with us." Blue Nile can help you find the piece that says it all and says it beautifully, with expert guidance and a wide assortment of jewelry of the highest quality at the best price. Go to BlueNile.com and experience the convenience of shopping Blue Nile, the original online jeweler since 1999. That's BlueNile.com.
Detroit Koolaid drinkers. What's going on, everybody? It's your host, Eric Coker. You guys know what it is. Right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast, talking about those Detroit Lions. And, gosh, I've been saying this for weeks now, but, like, the countdown is on. I think it's 3 weeks from when you're probably hearing this to training camp opening. Rookies, vets will be there. It's going to get crazy. But I got a fun show for you guys today. Again, another solo show. I got like a couple things just off the top, but then I'm literally I was like, man, should I break this down into a couple shows or position groups, or what should I do? But we're literally doing a full roster overview all today. I put these guys in tiers. I've got some takes. I've got some opinions. I got some bubble guys. I got some sleepers. We're just going to go rapid fire and get right into it. So before we do that, we can't mess around, but we got to talk about kind of big news, big contract impact on the books type news. And that's with Cam Sutton, because, you know, he had that big contract. Then he had the incident and the rumor innuendo, and the Lions cut him and voided out all of his guarantees and a lot of, you know, the big numbers on this contract. And then out of nowhere, it just kind of faded away, and he didn't go to jail, and nothing really happened with it. And next thing you know, he signs with Pittsburgh, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we're like, what? Well, it came out that Cam Sutton, who can't cover a coffee table, by the way, seemed like a great dude. I don't know if he did or didn't do what everyone says he did do, but he seemed like a great dude on the surface. He seemed like he was going to be a nice little CB1, CB2, but then he could not cover anybody, anytime, any place late in the season or throughout the season or most of the time during the season for the Detroit Lions. So he goes to Steelers, which where he came from, which was surprising. Again, just a locker room guy. Hey, we're familiar with him type pickup, in my opinion. But the NFL cracked down and hit him with an 8-game suspension, and this is the key part. They found that he violated the personal conduct policy. Now, the reason that's big is because, as far as I know, again, without getting in the weeds or in all the details, like, you violate the personal conduct policy, that's going to void, you know, those guarantees. That's going to allow the Lions, from what I understand, to be able to probably get out from a lot of that money that they did owe Cam Sutton, didn't owe him, then we're going to have to owe him again, and now may get another refund check or another get-out-of-jail-free card, no pun intended, with Cam Sutton. So that's big news. You know, that could be a big chunk of money, just kind of getting away with just basically what he played here for, a little hit probably on the back end, but not some of those big dollars that you maybe put up front or that you had in relation to this contract. Now, I'm sure there are other people on the Twitter machine, the old X, that will go ahead and give you all the deets from top to bottom, A to Z. I'm just here to tell you it's a big-time savings. It's going to help the Lions both now and in the future. Obviously, in the big grand scheme of things, we hope that Cam Sutton didn't do what everyone said he was going to do, and we're all cool that he's not on the Lions anymore based on how he played. So all is well. And, it's in this situation, it's about the contracts, about the player, it's about the money. So no laughing matter with Cam Sutton, but it's about the money. $1 Million Man sound drop because the Lions are going to be saving a bunch. And then two other quick things I want to hit on before we get in this roster overview. Like, I checked out the HBO offseason with the New York Giants, which, like I think I said last week, I care less about the Giants, but I could not wait to see some of this behind the scenes. And to me, it was better than expected because they literally showed them talking about Saquon Barkley, talking about players, talking about where they rank players. Hey, if we get rid of this guy, these are the guys we can go get in free agency. All the stuff that fans, fantasy football, all of us talk about all the time. But to see it in real time instead of like on the real Hard Knocks, you kind of see all the practicing and the hooting and hollering, but then you never really see them like talk about, Jim over there who can't play, or George who's out of shape by name. It's just hinted at and whatnot. So I thought it was great to hear some real conversations, see some real GM type stuff. Now, do the Giants look very good in it? I don't know about that based on how they value players, or, there's been talk about like, hey, the Giants don't seem to have an identity. They're just sitting there picking players, picking positions, playing people because of their contract based on instead of what they can do on the football field. So I don't know if it shows out very well for them, but I do know that, it's very interesting, especially from a guy who loves team building, GM, draft, all those things in between. So I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And the other thing I want to hit on was Hutch. Aiden Hutchinson. You guys know that man, number 97.
Unleash Hutch.
Oh, yeah, the guy who's got his own sound music when he's getting after quarterbacks doing his thing. Dan Campbell, you want to unleash Hutch or what?
Unleash Hutch. I'm ready to unleash Hutch.
Exactly. Me too. So Aiden Hutchinson came out, man, and he's like, we got high expectations. We should have high expectations. We got a hell of a football team. We're ready for this. He just had so many good, positive things to say, and he's willing to go out and earn it and rep for the city and this team. So I absolutely love what Hutch had to say. And I love his confidence. I love his moxie. I love the fact that he's getting bigger and better every single year. This guy's an absolute DAWG on the football field, and he's not afraid to tell you what he's about to go do either, which you got to love. So, loved what Hutch had to say, and he's ready for the season. He's ready for the expectations, and nothing less than NFC Championship game, Super Bowl, and Super Bowl championship is what this team has on their radar, which is great. All right, Kool-Aid drinkers, so let's get into this right now. Can you hear this right here? Can you hear this paper that I got in front of me? I went to the old DetroitLions.com, a fresh print off right before I got recording here of their roster page, and I went through it, and what I did is I put some guys in tiers. So I have like a tier that's kind of the no doubt guys, that are going to be starters, impact players, impact depth guys on this team. No doubt will pretty much be on this football team. I have another tier of guys that are kind of like, I don't know about him, like he's kind of on the bubble. I got some questions, which I'll get into. Then I got another tier of players who might be like under the radar, sneaky, maybe even a vet or two that's like, I don't know. I couldn't put him in my first two tiers, so he fell into bucket number 3. And I got some numbers and stuff that I'll break it down as we go through this. So like I say, I'm going to do rapid fire. I'll do the first half. We'll get our great sponsors in here for the show. And I'll come back and finish this out. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this in order, kind of as I see them on this sheet. I did sort it by position, so they pretty much go down that way. But they do have like CBs and DB and centers and O-line and OTs. So it's not going to be those normal position groups that you hear me break things down into. But I think we can do some good things here, just talking football today, just getting into these players, probably be a little bit light, try to get some sound bites and some sound drops in when I hit certain players that you guys know and love here on the show. But basically, I'm going to just talk ball, talk about who I think. We're heading into training camp a few weeks away, so I wanted to give you guys a kind of, here's the 90-man roster, but here's the 60 some that you really need to be aware of, need to focus on, and are going to either make or not make this roster. So let's do this. First player here, number 77, Frank Ragnow. I mean, everybody knows, absolute stud. Lots of talk about his injuries the last couple years. He seemed to shrug that off and say he's going to be here throughout his contract and fight through. And he's a great football player, great anchor of the offensive line. So always happy to have him at the center position. Then it drops down to corners. Again, I'm going to go through that first tier, no doubt, guys, here pretty quick. Terrion is the first name here. Sub-Zero. This guy is getting so much hype, so much love, and I think it's so well deserved. But Terrion is a guy that, gosh almighty, like he's working out at midnight. He's saying all I do is game reps. He says I'm not scared of anybody, wants all that smoke. He seems so ready. I think I saw a couple publications saying that this guy could legit be like a fringe Pro Bowler slash, top tier football. I think one even said he's going to be the next Amon-Ra from a defensive perspective, and maybe better, I think is what it said. So take that for what you want, but love everything about him. And I did see another article out there too saying, man, this guy can't run with people, or he can't get cover and phase, or he gets beaten this and can't all this stuff. And I was like, no, I forget who it was. I think it was Chris Collinsworth that put that to bed. Some Eagle fan was saying that about Terrion, was saying how great Quinyon Mitchell was. It's like, hey man, I got nothing against Quinyon Mitchell. Good football player, good dude, really athletic. But Chris Collinsworth was like, like Terrion Arnold can cut you off. He can run with you, makes plays on the football, great instincts, willing to tackle, all that type of stuff you love. So love that. Next guy on the sheet here, I mean, again, he's got his own bit on the show. His name is Carlton Davis, but we refer to him as the Carlton. I know all you out there doing that dance. Number 23, 6'1", 206, 27 years old, out of Auburn. This guy just seems like he's a no doubt CB1. Loves the pressure, not scared at all. Love what he brings. Next corner, Enos Rakestraw Jr. Again, a lot of people are slow playing this kid. Oh, he's going to be a backup. He's going to be a slot only. He's going to do this, he's going to do that. Hey, let him come along how he comes along. If he's ready to ball, he's only 22 years old. Get him out there. If we got other guys in front of him, like the next guy on my list, my boy, number 21, my favorite number in all of sports, Meek Robertson, if he's the guy in front of him in the slot, or, if Meek's getting more PT, then Enos Rakestraw can come along and he'll be ready. But I'm not putting Enos Rakestraw as this guy that's just going to do nothing this year or be a total project. I think he's ready to go in a lot of different ways. So, but Amik Robertson, again, DAWG, loves what he brings to the table. People are going to be surprised by this cat, I'm telling you right now, about the type of plays he makes on the football field and the way that he plays the game, the way that he loves his teammates, all that in between. So, Meek's a no doubter. How about the next guy? Not listed as a corner, not listed as a safety, straight up DB, and not that guy that writes those horrible articles or sits in the front row and asks horrible questions, always negative or always trying to rattle the coach. Not that DB, just a straight up defensive back. My boy, Brian Branch. Everybody knows BB, we can do. You go back and look at the archives on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. You hear me in real time saying, go get Brian Branch. How is Brian Branch out there? I love Brian Branch. My boy Brian Branch. They get him. What does he do? Pick 6 against the Chiefs. Balls out all year. Fights through some injuries. Gets his foot repaired this offseason. He's going to be all over the football field. This guy not only is great, but he's boys with Terrion, Sub-Zero. He loves those Bama boys, so look for a big year from my boy, Brian Branch. We drop down to the D-line. You got Aiden Hutchinson. he's going to be hunting quarterbacks. I've heard defensive player of the year. I think some kooks were throwing out 20 plus sacks. I'm not putting those type of numbers on him. I just want to do what he's done the last couple of years. Every time I look up, he's basically in the backfield, creating havoc, doing his thing, getting after people. That's exactly what I want. That's exactly what he's going to do. And the more times he gets sacks, gets turnovers, kills the quarterback, hey, I'm all for that too. So Aiden Hutchinson is that dude. I'm here to tell you, big year coming for him. Leader, captain, just great football player. Next guy that I put in my first tier here, even though I had a few questions, is Broderick Martin. I saw nothing from him last year. I didn't really like it when they took him in the draft. He's a big body. He's got some long arms. He's got kind of that nasty demeanor. I get it. But not a guy that I can see like taking this monster leap and being just an unblockable force in the middle. But I do expect him to not only make the roster, but see some flashes or see some good run stuffing from Broderick Martin this year. That's kind of my hopes and expectations. Anything else he gives me is gravy. Because we got this next guy on the D-line that's going to be out there all the time doing big things, and that's Aleem McNeil, a.k.a. Honey Bun, a.k.a. Twinkle Toes, a.k.a. Plump, a.k.a. the Mac. Aleem McNeil, a.k.a. Big year coming, Pro Bowl type year coming. I loved how he kind of got after the quarterback more towards the end of last year. You know, he's just kind of a run stuffer, big old body, got his diet right, got himself in shape. Love what he's starting to bring, and just a great dude on and off the field. Leader, quiet leader, but just a no-nonsense, big, nasty football player at 6'2", 315. Only 24 years old as well. Next guy that I got that's definitely going to make it is my boy Josh Pascal. I've had high expectations since they took him. Was he an Oakley target in the draft? Necessarily no. Did I love when I read up on him? He's a big, nasty, inside-outside tackle. Great guy. You know, the cancer story, all the things that he has going for him. I need him to take a big step up. I can't like hope or maybe or we'll see. He's got to step up, whether it's the edge or when he kicks inside, get after the quarterback. I expect more sacks, more disruption from Pascal this year. Big DJ Reader's the next one on the D-line, number 98. 6'3", 335 plus pounds. Again, I see people just giving the Detroit Lions like, oh, we got the best D-line in football. Like, hey, man, we got some big, nasty beasts, but there's other teams that have better guys getting after the quarterback, or, two edge rushers that are absolute freaks, or two big old DTs, or an edge and a DT that I think compare very favorably. Because to me, DJ Reader is a big, nasty beast, ball of butcher knives type defensive tackle. But you're not going to see these gaudy sack pressure numbers from Aleem and DJ Reader. But what you are going to see is just very consistent play, great leadership, physical, nasty, beat you up, throw you around type play. So I love all that, don't get me wrong. And the last D lineman that I'll put on here before I take our break here on this first segment is Mekhi Wingo. And you're like, but why is he on your top tier? He's a rookie. He's a 5th round or later pick. You want to know why? Because Wingo has been getting so much love this offseason. People are like, this dude is crazy in practice. He's showing up big. Okay, they're in shorts or whatever. But if this dude's balling in shorts, where he really makes plays when you put the pads on, or when you're in the locker room, when you're in the huddle, when this guy can show his leadership, his dedication, his love for football. So Mekhi Wingo is a straight up nasty, sawed off, 6 foot, under 300 pound football player that is undersized, and it doesn't matter. And oh, by the way, he's 21 years of age, so he's definitely not only on this roster, but I got some nice, sneaky high expectations. He definitely makes my list of guys you got to keep. So let's go ahead and get our great sponsors in here. Again, I've got a lot more guys on my top tier, but I think I can get through my top tier, my second, and my sleepers all on the back half of the show because it took a little bit of time to get those news and notes about Cam Sutton, Hutch, and Hard Knocks off season off the top of the show. So everybody, please listen to our sponsors. Please share the show. Please drink it in. Please have a double-sided cornbread. Really helps the show. And just much appreciated. Love all the Kool-Aid drinkers out there. Drink it in, everybody.
Drink it in, man.
Side of cornbread.
Cornbread.
Make it a double.
Cornbread.
Anytime you share the show, hype the show, hit me up on Twitter at Derek Okrie. It's spelled the only way it can be. DerekOkrie. Love that. Shout out to everybody that I'm doing the Scott Fishbowl Fantasy League tournament with right now. Shout out to everybody that joined my ridiculous 32 team, 53 players per team redraft, start from scratch that we started a few weeks ago. I think we're only in round 32 right now of that draft. Shout out to all my people in my Reality Sports Online leagues, which we're doing auctions, we're rookie drafts, we're doing all types of trading and craziness in those leagues. Obviously, I love fantasy football. Michigan Wolverines, the return of the national champs, will be hitting the field in like, what is it now, 6 weeks? 5 weeks? Something crazy like that. And college football comes up on you crazy because there's like nothing and then boom, first game. So be ready for that. And of course, the Detroit Lions will be hitting the field before you know it. I think it's like 8-7 weeks, somewhere in that range. Can't get here soon enough. I think it's like 2 to 3 weeks and they'll be playing the Hall of Fame game. The Lions will be hitting preseason. You'll be seeing Hendon Hooker do his thing, aka H2O. So everybody, do all that, share it up, hit me up, and I'll come back after the break talking all things Lions and going rapid fire on this roster overview before training camp gets rolling. Everybody, I'll be right back. All right, everybody. This goes out to my fantasy football fans out there. Now, you probably heard about Reality Sports Online, the most powerful fantasy sports platform where owners can build and manage their fantasy team like a real NFL general manager. But the question is, have you tried it? I mean, we're talking free agency, multi-year contracts, rookie drafts, multi-team trades. You can put franchise tags on guys. It's as close as you're going to get to being an NFL GM. But do you think it sounds complicated? It's not. I'm here to tell you it's the best thing about Reality Sports Online is it's just more fun than your normal fantasy league, but it doesn't take barely any more time. After all this, are you still not sure? I mean, come on now. You can test your general manager skills by going over to Reality Sports Online, call it RSO. Please go check out realitysportsonline.com right now. Kool-Aid drinkers, we're back. This is normally where I shout all you guys out. I say check the show, share the show. I already did that. I also just want to get back into these players. I told you it's going to be a football show, and I got so many more people to talk about, so let's just get right back into it. Let's talk about, we left off with Mekhi Wingo on the D-line. Let's go to the O-line. Kevin Zeitler, number 71. That was one of our big free agent pickups. Look at this dude's size. 6'4", 340 they have him listed at. Out of Wisconsin, which is an O-line factory. Yes, he's 34. He's going to be a very productive interior offensive lineman. Now, again, they have these sorted a little bit differently, so it goes from him, then it drops to the kickers real quick, and the one I have in this tier from a kicker perspective, yeah, I got to put Jake Bates in there. They gave him a 2-year deal. He's shown a big leg. Michael Badgley has done fine. And one thing I want to give credit to Badgley is, like, you go back and you watch that playoff game, which me and at Chops and the D were live and in person. We tailgated for 12 hours in sub-degree, 20 degrees below temperatures. We grilled out somehow in that. We went to the game. We were hype as hell. We had so much fun. And you go back and watch that game, like, Michael Badgley drains a 53, 50, maybe even 5-yard field goal, whatever that was. That was the difference. That gave the Lions that lead, and they kept it, and they got that first down from Jared Goff to Amon-Ra. which sealed the game. So, like, what a big kick. That kick needs to go down in the history for the Detroit Lions. I feel like people just forget about it. But so all respect to him, no disrespect. But I'm going with Jake Bates as my kicker here in this tier 1 of players. A little rapid fire here on the linebackers. You got Alex Anzalone, as steady as they come. Love what he brings to the table. Derek Barnes, bad spelling on the first name. Good dude, great dude actually. Good football player, getting better and better. Could see his role limited a bit heading into the season because they got Reward, a.k.a. Jack Campbell, number 46, coming into his own as a linebacker, 6'5", 243 pounds, only 23 years old, out of Iowa. I expect him to be out there on most all downs, playing the middle, maybe even making some calls with Anzo this year. We got James Houston here listed as a linebacker. Obviously, he's an outside guy that gets after the quarterback. This guy I kind of went back and forth on, but I had to put him in my first tier. I got to have him on my football team, and his name is Rodrigo. That was the live version. Here's the sound drop.
Rodrigo.
Here's the live version. Rodrigo. Here's the sound drop.
Rodrigo.
You know, you gotta have number 44 on your football team. Recently got married, just no nonsense. He'll play defense, he'll play fullback, he'll play some tight end, he'll play special teams, whatever you need. Love what he brings to the table. I got Scott Daly here as my long snapper. Again, they've got a guy, let me tell you something, brother, Hogan Hayton, as another rookie, kind of undrafted long snapper, but I'm going to go with the guy that I know, because long snapper is often forgot about because we had Don Mule back, and it's kind of a stupid position, but it's very much needed because somebody's got to do it. So I'm putting Daly there as my long snapper. Linemen that are definitely going to be on my team in that first tier. Graham Glasgow, they paid the man. He's solid as they come. He can also play center, which is huge. Christian Mahogany, one of my draft crushes this year. Can't believe they got him where they got him, but I'm glad they got him. Gio Manu, the big 6'7", 354-pound, 23-year-old tackle out of Get It. University of British Columbia. Yes, you heard that right. Number 59. Obviously kind of a redshirt year for him, but he's going to be on my team. I'm going to get him practice reps. I'm going to push him hard and hope that he can be up to speed sooner than most think. Colby Sorsdahl is going to be my interior outside swing player. And then you get to kind of like that outside linebacker rush players. You know, the Lions have Marcus Davenport listed as an OLB, yet his number is 92, and last time I checked, he's fat. Needs to trim up or needs a tighter haircut or something, because as I've said before, Marcus Davenport, go back and pull up his like draft prep. This guy was like size, speed, and like nothing anyone's seen before, and now he's a plump, poultry, often injured, still hopeful, lots of hype type guy, and I don't know. I don't see it, but I won't have much else there, so I had to put him. But again, he's more of a big edge. He's not some freaky outside linebacker to me. 265 pounds, 280. But you know, we get him on some Weight Watchers, do some things. Love you, Marcus Davenport. Hope you play well. TBD if you ask me, but I hope he plays well. Jack Fox, obviously the punter of all punters. Love him. You guys know this next guy, especially, you know, Chops, big fan. All aboard the golf train. The tickets and the seats on the golf train are a little bit more expensive because the conductor or the engineer or the, you know, the designer, whatever, of the golf train is now making $53 million for the next 3 or 4 years. But, as I've said, he's played well. He's got us a couple playoff wins. His players seem to love him. I've definitely sort of grown to appreciate this football player. I think that, you have to just pay quarterbacks ridiculous amounts of buco bucks, regardless of what you think about him. And I just want to reiterate simply this.
I don't hate him. I don't.
I don't. I actually kind of love Jared Goff now. But I also have love for his backup. H2O, Hendon Hooker. This guy, I've seen trade rumors about him, or like, oh, Hendon Hooker is, be lucky to be the third guy. And it's like, they're going to get this guy a ton of reps in practice. He's going to get basically all the preseason reps that a starter, should or backup will get. I think you're going to be very excited when you see what he can do. He's pinpoint. He's smart. He can launch it downfield. People act like he's this scrambling, running Jaden Daniels type. No. Like, Hendon Hooker can move a little bit, but what he is a young, well, he's not that young, 26, but he's a, long, lanky, good-armed, smart quarterback that can run. He should be able to run the offense now. He had the gimmicky offense in college, but he will launch the ball 50 yards down the field, and he will also not turn it over. So I'm very excited to see what Hendon Hooker can do. Let's keep this thing rolling. Still got so many more players. The next guy, we move to the tailback position. And the first guy that was here on my tier 1, he's an absolute multi-dimensional, positionless. Wait for it. Elite weapon. Jahmyr Gibbs. We also have the man known as Demo, David Montgomery. Now, David Montgomery is an interesting thing when it comes to fantasy or this team in general. Are they really going to load up Jahmyr in the pass game, the run game, or is this going to be another 50-50 split? Where obviously Jahmyr's going to make a few more plays and be a great dude and real electric, but I really don't think David Montgomery, a.k.a. Demo, is going to be limited a ton. I think he's going to see a lot of carries, a lot of touchdowns, catch the ball when he needs to, does some nice things. Next running back that's going to make my list, Sione Vaki. The Lions love him. I'm curious what he can do. I'm intrigued. I'm not so sure, but I know he's going to be on this team, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in preseason. Let's put it that way. Kirby Joseph at safety, a.k.a. Kerbo, a.k.a. Swaggo, Curb Stomp, whatever you want to go with. Kirby B. B is for Ball Hawk Joseph. This guy just gets his hands on footballs, talks to the sideline. He's Aaron Rodgers' father. I can't believe I just brought up Aaron Rodgers for no reason on the show. What a smug, pompous. I mean, you guys know what he is. We got a sound drop for that bum.
You pompous, stuck-up, snot-nosed, giant twerp, scumbag.
And again, that's for a fraud. Definitely not for Kerbo, because Kerbo is like the opposite of all those. He's humble, he's swaggy, he's fun, he's electric, he's worth the price of admission. Love Kirby Joseph. Ife Melifonwu, again, I kind of called him a backup type player, or a chess piece, or a slot, outside back, or blitz guy. But he's obviously going to be there. Then it gets to the tackles. Taylor Decker. Will he be here 1 year, multiple years? I feel like it's dependent on how Manu progresses, but I'm going to keep Taylor Decker in the fold until I have better options. I love what he does. He loves his team, loves the city. Mad respect. I would never say that I could choke slam you. I would never disrespect you. I feel like Taylor Decker has always been one of my favorites, and he shows up and plays great on the left side of your O-line. Week in, week out. Day in, day out. So I love that. Penei Sewell, 6'5", 335, will punch you in the mouth. Been in the league 4 years. Oh, by the way, he's 23 years of age. Absolute stud, captain, cornerstone, got paid this offseason. Love everything about him. Sam Laporta. We all know you're Laporta supporters, a.k.a. you love yourself some Kool-Aid, double-sided cornbread with a single side item of Sammy biscuits to go with your meal. This guy catches everything. Love him. Just even if his stats dip, I just think he's going to be great. Brock Wright, he's got to be there for his blocking because Dan Campbell loves him. Move to the outside skill guys. Give me Antoine Green as a ascending outside wide receiver. My boy DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones, I'm looking for big things from him. Word is he hasn't been doing anything at practice. He's not flashing. But I still see him as the 3, even though Khalif Raymond gets a ton of love. Well warranted because he's just such a good dude, such a hard worker, speed. But give me DPJ as my 3, Khalif as my 4, and as my punt, kick returner, gadget player, whatever you want to call him. ARSB, that man that's making $30-some million this year. And again, don't take that lightly. Don't go from making like $1 million, $2 million to $30 million and some change. He's going to really have to show up. He's going to have to be a great guy on and off the field, which I have no doubt about him. That's why it's okay to pay him those buco bucks. And then the last guy on the outside, number 9, the new number 9, Jameson Williams, 23 years of age. Everybody's talking about the breakout is coming. I cannot wait to see a full season from this kid. I invested in him in some deep dynasty leagues. I'm hoping those catch numbers get up into the 60, 75 plus. I'm hoping the yardage is in the 4 digits. That's 1,000 plus. I'm hoping the touchdowns anywhere from 7 to 10 plus. And I hope that he takes a couple 50-yarders to the heezy and does some crazy dance in the end zone. And we can absolutely love it. Hashtag JMOFast. So if my math's correct, that's 42 players there on my top tier. Gotta have them, starters, good backups, whatever. Let's move to my tier 2. These are guys that I got questions about, I'm unsure about. Again, I'll go through them somewhat quickly. Emmanuel Mosley. They paid him, they like him. I like him on paper. I don't like him because he's played 2 snaps for the Detroit Lions, hasn't done anything, and is coming off another severe injury. He's on my bubble / we'll see. Betts, the D-line defensive end type player, number 95, 6'2", 259 pounds, a little bit smaller of an edge type guy in some respects. 29 years of age, coming from Canada, CFL, but Defensive Player of the Year. So I'm interested to see what he's got. This is a vet. This is a good dude. Still got a bad nickname, but I had to put him sort of on my we'll see bubble, I'm not sure list. John Kaminsky, man, you got to show me something. You came in here, said everything right, did everything right, and then the production, the impact on the field just wasn't there. I don't know if you were hurt or what, but you got to show up bigger. Speaking of show up bigger, speaking of make plays, speaking of the time is now, a.k.a. Big Denim Levi Onzarike, number 91, had the back issues, played last year, under the radar, made some plays, took him in the high second round. Will he show up or will he wash out and be scrubbing, dishes at the bowling alley? We'll see. Next guy on my we'll see list is Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Oh, but upgrade is such a good special. You can't do that. Hey, man, I like the guy. He's 29 years old, great vet, great on special teams. They always say Anzo, and people are like, oh, he could start as a linebacker. Yeah, for a horrible team. For this team, he's hopefully the 4th, 5th, 6th linebacker. So that's a bubble player to me. I mean, I like the guy. Don't get me wrong, but he had to make that second tier for me. I'm rumbling through my papers here, as you maybe can hear. Jamar Jefferson is on my bubble list. It's like, why isn't he on the, get off the team list, at this point? Because they drafted him, because he has some talent, and as long as he's getting his head on straight, Jamar Jefferson is still a guy that I somewhat like. A guy that's been in the league a few years and is still only 24 years old. He's still got 2-3 good years of running back legs. He obviously doesn't have the wear and tear of the snaps. Could he make the bottom of the roster? My intuition says no, because he's not as good a special teamer and he just doesn't do much for you as a football player. But again, I like the talent. I like, when they took him, so we'll wait and see. Come on, Craig. He made tier 2 because Craig Reynolds, are you going to be the 3? I don't think so, because I'm giving that to Yoni Vaki. So if you're 4-5 at the running back position, you're on my bubble tier 2 list. Brandon Joseph, number 40, safety out of Notre Dame. Lots of nice hype coming out about Brandon Joseph. I kind of like his undrafted player pickup. I liked it when they did it. He's kind of come into his own, I hear. Could be a nice depth player. Could be off the roster. Could be a practice squatter. We'll see on that one. But Brandon Joseph, I heard some good things. CJ Moore, yes, they brought him back after the gambling suspension. Yes, he says everything right. Yes, he seems to learn lesson. Yeah, they love him because he can run down on kicks. But with kicks being changed, this is a guy that definitely could just be here as a camp body and a hard worker and be left off this roster. Dan, everybody's favorite, Dan Skipper, again, he didn't report. We all know this. It's clear as day. He's been on this roster. He will probably always be on this roster. I got him on my tier 2 bubble. Might be time to move on from a player like Dan Skipper, but Dan freaking Campbell loves this guy, so there it is. I had to put my boy James Mitchell on this tier 2. Maybe we'll see TBD list, because James Mitchell hasn't done anything. He hasn't been really healthy. He hasn't really seemed to fit in or catch the ball when it's thrown to him. So unless he takes a big leap, he might kind of wash out as, a 4th round, 5th round type pick. Wait and see on him. Same with Shane Zylstra. He did some nice things, but he could be a washout type candidate as well. So that kind of makes my tier 2, maybe some things, maybe not. We'll see. I got 12 guys, I believe I did in that category. Let's go to my sleeper. Maybe you don't know, maybe you should know, maybe you don't need to know category. And the first guy on that list for me was Chris Smith, defensive lineman out of Notre Dame, only 24 years old, disruptive player, a little bit smaller, just barely over that 300-pound mark. I like this pickup as an undrafted kid. I heard good things, but is there a roster spot for him? Either on the depth chart when it comes to interior defensive tackles or on the practice squad. I don't know, but I like me some Chris Smith. I'm here to tell you, keep your eye on him. Number 90. Nitani Muti, interior guard out of Fresno State. This was an Okri draft favorite. Now, Muti's a beat you up in the run game, fight you in a phone booth type player. This isn't the guy you're going to have out in screen and in space and move his feet, but he was with Denver, and then he bounced around a little bit, I think, and the Lions picked him up, and I hear some good things about Muti. So could he be a depth interior or even that special team, or why do I keep saying special teams, practice squad type player that could come up if an injury happens? Yeah, I think Muti maybe could do that. Ben Niemanen, linebacker that they picked up recently from the Titans, I believe. 28 years old, out of Iowa. Tackling machine, hard worker. He's a guy that kind of caught my eye there a little bit. Let's see here. How about this name? Running back, number 36, Jake Funk. This is a guy, comes out of Maryland, was with the Rams for a few years. He catch the football, run the ball, hard worker, no nonsense. I don't see any room for him as like a 5th, 6th type RB, but maybe keep him around. If a bunch of injuries hit, this guy can catch the ball. This guy can make some plays. I kind of like the player. I'm not putting him in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying I love him. I'm not saying give him 10 snaps. Even if injuries hit, but Jake Funk, man, keep an eye on him. See what he's got. Same with this guy, Bam Knight, running back. NC State, 3rd year. We picked him up from the Jets. This guy had some nice hub. Came here. I think he got hurt, early in the preseason, whatever it was. You never really saw much from him, but this is the kind of big banging depth running back that the Lions could fall in love with in the preseason. Fans could love because he could score some touchdowns in the preseason or look good. And hey, man, he's a 4, 5, 6 type RB special team thumper that they could keep around that caught my eye. Hearing a lot about this guy, another Okri diamond in the rough from way back in the day. Check my records. I think I took him in some deep dynasty leagues back in the day. Darius Fountain out of Northern Iowa. You want to know how sick I am? I know that the Colts drafted him originally. He stayed around, didn't do anything there, got hurt, probably bounced around a little bit. He's now 28 years old, but hearing that he's making plays, that he's like flashing in these practices, and I've always liked his game. He's kind of like a, he's 6'2", 210, and he's always been kind of like that slender, go get it, kind of catch inside, outside, do all types of things type receiver. And I had high hopes for him as a deep sleeper when he came out in the draft. Therese Fountain, again, I don't know their spot for him on this roster, but he's a put him in my 3 tier, sleep on him, check him in preseason, watch him when you're at training camp type player. Same with Traquan Smith, Smiff. No, that's not how you spell it. Traquan Smith. This guy's been around for a long time. He made a lot of deep plays with the New Orleans Saints. If they want a deep threat and they think this guy is worthy, I could see him making the bottom of the roster or being a guy that's kept around. For a couple years there, he was like this deep fantasy darling, or a guy that every once in a while would catch like a 75-yard touchdown and put together a stat line. So I put him on my maybe. We'll see. I'm surprised to see him on this roster. He'll be wearing number 10 as of now. And then my last one, Isaiah Williams, number 83, wide receiver out of Illinois, undrafted rookie, former quarterback, jitterbug, catch everything, smart player, does it all. This is one of my favorites. I think it's a long shot for him to make an impact or to make this roster, but he's one of my favorites that I would hope so, especially after like the JMO, DPJ, Raymond. Could Isaiah Williams be that next guy? Could he be the next guy there? We'll see. So that was 8. Keep an eye. We'll see. Sleeper. See at the bowling alley type players. That gives me 42, 12, and 8 if my math's correct. That's 62 football players on what, a 90-man roster heading into training camp. The other players I will not mention on the show. I'm sure they're great people. I'm sure a couple will surprise us, but I only have so much time, so they didn't make my list. 62, you got to get down to what, 53-ish, 55, whatever the rules are now, with a couple extra here and there, whether you count quarterbacks, you don't count the third quarterback. So still some roster trimming to do, but between my 42 and my 12, that's going to basically get you around that 53, 55, 58 type players that are going to be most likely to impact this football team and be on this roster. And I think I did pretty good. I think that's about my normal 40, 45, maybe even 50 minutes. I got through this roster. I tried to give you takes. I tried to give you quick opinions. I tried to go top to bottom. Takes, tiers, sleepers, busts, cuts, who to watch, who not to care about. Gave you numbers, sizes, whatever it may be, like all the things you need to know with training camp just a couple weeks away. So everybody, that's what I got. I'll catch you next time right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. I'm out.
Taking it all. Kicking the door, dropping you down to the floor. We taking it all. Ready for war, better than ever before. Taking it all. Breaking the walls, my blood out is hard to the core. We taking it all.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.